Elora took Zane to the second floor of the Treasure Emporium, the section dedicated to the sale of magical weapons. Zane browsed the array of weaponry for a while, and then his gaze fell on a fierce, shiny sword with no tag attached to it. Since Freya had seized his assets, he couldn't even afford a proper sword. He wondered how he would practice the heavenly sword technique or perform the art of sword drawing without one. Elora was walking behind him, and she noticed his interest in the sword.
Do you practice sword techniques, Grandmaster Zane?
Zane nodded, and then he turned his attention back to the sword.
I know a trick or two.
Elora's eyes lit up. She had been worried about how to curry favor with a master alchemist like Zane, but she believed she had just found her answer.
This blade is called the Sky Sword. It's considered a powerful but lightweight weapon with an edge so sharp it slices in absolute silence. It's the work of a master, and it was designed to kill.
She paused to look down at the sword.
It would be a suitable weapon for you.
Zane picked up the Sky Sword, testing its weight. Then he turned to look at Elora.
You don't need to keep addressing me as Grandmaster.
Elora was stunned at first, but then she smiled.
Okay, if you insist, I'll just call you Zane.
As the two of them chatted, a man's disdainful voice came from behind them.
What's a broke good-for-nothing like you doing in the Treasure Emporium? Can you even afford a sword?
Zane turned around and saw Bram smirking at him.
It seems you still haven't given up on practicing the heavenly sword technique. Freya should have cut off your hand when she had the chance. You're not good enough to even touch anything in here.
When he took another glance at the blade Zane was holding, his face lit up.
Oh, that's quite the sword. I didn't notice it before. Let me have a look.
Without waiting for Zane to hand it over, he snatched it out of his grasp. With Bram's training and powerful vital energy, Zane was no match for him, so there was nothing he could do. But then Elora slammed her hand down on Bram's wrist, releasing a blast of energy that knocked him back a few steps. Bram scowled at her.
What the hell are you doing? No one ever denies me what I want. Even if I decided to hurt Zane, no one would try to stop me.
He jabbed a finger in Elora's direction, enraged by her interference.
And who do you think you are? If you're not careful, you'll end up in the same state as him.
He gestured at Zane. Elora simply glanced at him and snorted, not taking his threats seriously at all.
If you want to keep that finger, stop pointing it at me. You've got no right to speak to me like that.
Her eyes flashed with a faint light, and it was clear that her aura was greater than Bram's. Zane was quite impressed by her display of power and thought.
I think she's at the 8th stage of body tempering. No wonder she has the guts to go up against Bram. If they fought, I'm honestly not sure who would win.
Suddenly, a wave of pressure washed over everyone, shocking them.
Who's causing trouble in the Emporium?
Otto demanded, stomping into the room. Bram lost his arrogant expression the moment he saw him. He glanced at Zane, and then he turned his attention back to Otto.
I want this sword, no matter the cost. I don't believe that someone as useless as Zane would be able to offer you more for it than I can.
Otto was astute enough to understand what was happening.
I'm not short of money. I just want the Sky Sword to find a suitable master, and in my opinion, that's Zane. Look at him. It's obvious that he has a promising future.
Bram snorted, and then he glared at Zane.
You're nothing, so why don't you stop embarrassing yourself and give up already? You're just a weird-looking guy with no redeeming qualities.
Everyone in the shop fell silent. They knew Bram had a promising future, but they had no idea what would happen to Zane. So they all wondered why Otto thought so highly of Zane, even at the cost of offending the heir to the Martell family. A few shoppers had gathered around to listen to the exchange, and they were surprised to hear Otto's defense of Zane. One woman exclaimed,
"Oh my, Otto is taking Zane's side."
Shh, keep your voice down. We can't afford to offend either of them, so don't let them hear you.
When they heard the whispers of the shoppers, Zane's lips twitched, and Elora couldn't quite suppress her laugh. But Bram was furious. He clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. but he didn't dare act presumptuously in the Treasure Emporium, as he knew he was no match for Otto.
Very well. Let's see if the sword can help its new owner regain control of the Martell family.
With that, he stormed out of the Treasure Emporium. Elora looked concerned.
Zane, I'm afraid that he means you harm. Do you need someone to escort you back home?
Zane shook his head, refusing her offer. He knew he couldn't hide from Bram forever, and he would eventually have to settle the score with him. After the commotion settled down, he continued to shop, and after getting a good deal from the Treasure Emporium, he asked Otto and Elora to send someone to the Martell mansion to retrieve the marrow-purifying pill. Agreeing to his request, Elora and Otto stood together, lost in thought, watching Zane depart. Elora sighed, and then she glanced at Otto.
Do you think he could refine the golden essence pill for me?
Otto frowned, shaking his head.
I don't know. The golden essence pill is a matter of life and death for you, so we have to be careful. I'll admit that Zane's technique for refining the marrow cleansing pill was outstanding. But I think we should give this some more thought before we approach him.
On his way back home, Zane sensed eyes on him, so he stopped walking and called out to his hidden stalkers.
Come out! There's no need to be so sneaky. Although, that seems to be the Martell family's favorite thing to do these days.
3 practitioners at the 5th stage of body tempering suddenly appeared a short distance away, and each of them wore the same chilling smile. Zane recognized them as Jace, Maddox, and Boaz, all from the Martell household. Jace stepped forward.
At least you have enough self-awareness to know that Bram will never leave you alone, but confronting us risks your life. I didn't expect you to be so desperate to die.
Boaz chuckled.
I'm truly amazed that you've survived this long, but no matter, the once dignified heir shall die at our hands today.
Don't worry, we're merciful, so we'll grant you a swift death.
They swaggered toward him with their blades at the ready, and then they dashed forward to attack. Zane stared them down with an icy expression, and then a sword suddenly appeared in his hand.
You all were present at my wedding, and you colluded with Freya, so I have every right to kill you where you stand.
Jace and his companions were astonished. They were at the 5th stage of body tempering, while Zane was only at the 3rd stage. They hadn't expected him to behave so arrogantly.
What a joke. Do you really think you can kill us? Well, go ahead and show us what you've got.
He laughed hard, holding his stomach, but then he abruptly stopped when he noticed Zane's aura had changed. It was as if the temperature had descended to below freezing, and a wave of energy emerged from Zane, sweeping across the sky sword. Before the sword was even out of its sheath, indescribable killing intent surged from it. Zane drew his sword, and a silver glow flashed from it as he spoke.
I only have one move, and it's called the art of sword drawing.
As he swung the blade at lightning speed, it made no sound at all, and the silver light glowed brightly. Before Jace could react, his head rolled to the ground, and his body slumped into a pool of his own blood. He was dead before anyone knew what had happened.
Can't wait for more? Catch the next episode tomorrow. And if you are ready to binge the whole series, download our app now. Tap the link in our bio to start your journey.